And hello, everyone. It is Tuesday, and you have Chanel, the Money Honey, and I don't have a name, but I'm Maria Daniels, and you're joining us for another episode of Business Acceleration Playbook, where we are bringing you the plays that you need to win in your business. And today we're talking about money again. So Angela wasn't able to be here. She had a prior commitment, but I'm glad the Money Honey's here to be able to talk all the things about making money. Today, that's your favorite thing, right? Making money. That's literally the title of the show today, is making money. So You have to be like, yeah, this is my zone, right?
It is. It's my zone of genius. I mean, yeah, I'm ready. Yeah. You see me, I'm like revved up.
Yeah, you're like making money.
My nice shirt. They probably can't see, but I actually got dressed today.
I did
put on my good lipstick. So let's do this.
So I did not get dressed. Actually, I still have on yoga clothes. I still got on my yoga shirt, my yoga sweater, and it was so comfy. I was like, Maria, I talked like, Maria, you should go on and put on something businessy. I'm like, business people do yoga. It happens. So I'm wearing this. So that's what I'm wearing. That's okay. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about making money. So the biggest thing that I think a lot of new business owners try to focus on is that exact thing. Really, all business owners need to focus on that, or you don't got a business, right? It's not, unless you're running like a charity, but still you got to have money. You got to make money with a charity too. So yeah, I digress. Point is that today, making money, I think this is probably the most important show. I'm saying it with that because there's a couple others I think that would be level with this, but money is kind of like the source of everything. You have to have dollars coming in, or you could do nothing. So I don't know how you want to kind of tackle this, since you are the Money Honey. You're kind of going to lead the show here today, but I do want to talk a little bit, and I know we've mentioned this and I'd say a lot of people at this point know that you're doing all the Airbnb stuff, and I don't even know if you would call it your side hustle anymore. Is it your main hustle, or even with the other one? Main hustle now.
It is, yeah.
So, well, and I think that's the beauty of it. When you think about making money, a lot of times people focus on only one thing. I am a huge fan of multiple streams of income, diversifying your money on the front end. I know we talk about, in the financial world, I say I'm not in the financial world, but people in the financial world talk about diversifying your portfolio on the back end,
right? But
they don't talk about diversifying it on the front end. And I always found that silly, because that's what it is. It's like, I want more money now, forget later. Later's great, but who knows how long I'm going to live? Am I even going to live long enough to even utilize that money? I want the money today. I want the money now. So multiple streams of income. So I do want to let you kind of dive in and let them hear all about Chanel, the Money Honey, and talk a little bit about, why do you love making money? I guess would be a good start.
That's hilarious, Maria. So I am Chanel Rose, and many, many years ago, I was given the nickname the Money Honey. Have I ever told the backstory about why they started to call me the Money Honey?
I don't remember. I don't think you have.
Okay. So I'll tell you guys the backstory, and it'll kind of be a foreshadowing of who I am in this business world. So back in college, I was in an organization, and we were fundraising to make money to go to Washington, D.C. And so originally we were selling everything a la carte. So like we had cheddar brats, hot dogs, chips, and soda, right? And so originally they were sold a la carte, and I was like, well, somebody may just come buy a bag of chips, buy a soda. Why don't we sell them together as a combo meal? Which sounds, not unique, but it is. A lot of people will sell things a la carte, but bundles, which is what we'll talk a little bit about here, and combo meals are always very attractive to people. People will say, oh, well, it's 20 cents less to just get it all together, or maybe $1 more to get it all together. They'll do that because they feel like they're even saving money in one way or another. So I started to do that. And then I was like, hey, we should ask people, can we have their change? So you would come, it was like $1.50. I would say, can we have your 50 cents to help us get to Washington, D.C.? And like 90% of people would say yes, because it's 50 cents, it's 10 cents, it's whatever, right? And sometimes people even tip us beyond that. And so that's where the Money Honey came from, and why they started calling me that, because they would be afraid to ask for the change. I'd be like, hey, can we have your change to help get to Washington, D.C.? And like make that 19-year-old Chanel so much more high pitched and intense. And it worked out really well. And so my friend back then started calling me the Money Honey. because they would come to me to try to find creative ways to make money. And in college, you need all the creative ways to make money. And I was always up for the task. And so over time, whenever I would join organizations, they'd be like, oh, please be the treasurer so that you can help us with the money. And like, you could make it make sense to us, like, please. And so over time, I always ended up in these very high level financial or leadership roles because I've always been good with money. I've always been good with finding ways to get more money from your same clients. And eventually, like, we created like different days, had different combos, and we were there for months. And we more than paid for a Washington, D.C. trip, round trip. So a really, really great experience that we had. And I can't say enough good things about college and making money. And they say you kind of know back then who you be. I didn't think I'd end up in sales, but I've managed to do sales in so many different ways. As a salesperson, I worked in politics. And so I would create brands to help people understand the value of different candidates. And then I would get people to buy in by explaining to them, like, hey, this is what this person does well. This is how they can help your community. And so it's not sales, but it absolutely is marketing and a way to position yourself to get favorability. From there, I started working in corporate investment sales. And that is like very literally burn and turn sales. How much money can you make based on the exact same product over and over again? How do you add discounts? How do you add things? How do you bundle things? How do you say the same thing differently, hundreds of ways until you finally resonate with your dream client? So my entire professional career in one way or another has been about how to get money, but also how to articulate your value. So I did that. And then during the pandemic, I fell in love with Airbnb. Airbnb has been the fastest return on investment that I've ever encountered. I continue to make money on Airbnb. I genuinely love the opportunity to create experiences for folks. And the thing about Airbnb, it wasn't my passion. So I know a lot of people tell you, what is your passion? What do people come to you for? No one ever came to me to ask me to spend the night. They didn't. No one ever said, can I come live with you? Well, within reason, right? That's not what I was known for. But I am known for creating really great experiences. I'm known for figuring out what's hot, what's next, what's now, and really just creating an environment that's very that's very welcoming. So Airbnb, while it wasn't my passion, it has become my passion. It really was about me trying to figure out how to make money. And so to answer Maria's question, why do I love making money? I do enjoy the fruits of my labor. What I really love, and it happens to pay me well, is making an impact and providing the best possible experiences for people, even in campaigns. Even my clients from when I worked in investments, if you ask them, they'll tell you that my customer service model was flawless. And they came back to me and they continued to work with me because I just created an environment that people couldn't get enough of. So for me, how I make money is less about necessarily what I'm offering, but more about how I can provide the best of what I have to offer to the best possible person. So go ahead, Maria.
No, I was going to say, I love that. And I think, you know, when you think about anything that you're selling, whether it's a tangible item, a product, or a service or whatever, I think that right there, what you just said, needs to be the goal, to give the best experience, the best product, the best of whatever possible. Now, that also doesn't necessarily mean that everybody's always going to think that it's the best. And I think, you know, there's, I actually just got somebody messaged me, a private message, and was like, well, can you please make sure and talk about what do you do if someone doesn't want to pay for the services or doesn't like your pricing. And I don't know if that's something that we want to get into today at this point. But you're not everybody's people. You're not going to make everybody happy. I'm sure even in the Airbnb world, I'm sure you could have 100 people stay there and be like, this is the best place ever. You have one person that just says, oh, 4-star, it's okay. You know, whatever. Or, you know, so I think that goes right back to, I don't remember what number episode it was, but we were talking about how to find your own target market.
Right.
you're not going to be for everybody. Everybody's not going to be for you. And if you're hearing multiple people say that there's an issue, maybe you need to kind of look and tweak a little bit. But if it's just one person out of, 100 or out of 50 or out of 20 or whatever, then at that point in time, it just may be they're not your person. So I don't know that we're going to get like deep in the weeds on that one today. But there are some other episodes, and I'll try to see which ones those are, and I'll just message them to you if you're listening right now on which ones those were, because we did kind of go over target market. And I think that more goes into a lot of the target market area of things, right. And not so much into how to make money. But you do want to make sure what you have is good,
Right. Yeah. So I think that for me, as I'm exploring how to make money, because I think that that's such a big question, right? Yeah, how do you make money is you sell. And I think that the first step is mindset. I know that that's a very hot button word and people are like, kind of tired of hearing it. But the truth of the matter is you have to have the right mindset to make money. So when I stopped trying to force it is when I made the most money. When I do my business coaching, I only work with clients who I think will be a good fit. I don't really try to go outside of my zone of genius. For example, I could talk to you about credit all day long, but I'm not a credit coach because that's not my zone of genius. I only like to work when I can perform at my best, and I can't perform at my best if I'm constantly in a situation where I'm just like trying to learn what I can, going on Google, going on YouTube, and just doing whatever to try to get money. So the first step would be understanding that you're not for everybody. Your mindset has to be, I'm not for everybody. What I offer is the best for who I'm best for. Absolutely. And you have to just be honest about that, because I think we've said this over and over again. You'll have people who come into your program who just want to be around you. They're a fan, right? And so you can actually get fans to pay you. And that's not a negative word. Like, they just enjoy your work. They think you're great. They buy into your program, and they just they haven't done any suitability tests, and they don't have it to do what you are teaching them to do, but they want to be in your zone. And so they're hoping that your success can rub off on them. And you have to get really good at understanding who you can help, especially in the beginning, because it can be very discouraging to coach people, to teach people, to sell a product, and then no one buys it. Like, all the time on the internet, people talk about, oh, my family doesn't support me. My mom doesn't support my business. Well, so why should she? Right? Like, could you imagine if you had like 100 sales and nobody used your product? You wouldn't feel good about that, because you want the word of mouth. You want the recognition. You want the camaraderie. You want the opportunity to expand and grow. And if people are giving you, making pity purchases, because essentially that's what will happen, then you're not going to expand. You'll just stay exactly where you are, because only the people around you will be supporting you. But you don't want that. Stranger support is success, period. You want to grow into as many different environments as you can. And so you have to work your way out of the idea that you are only going to be successful in your environment. You're only going to be successful in your community. You're only going to be successful at your church, sorority, local coffee shop, wherever you spend your time. If you think that that's what success is, it won't happen. It's just not. You don't know enough people right now to be the millionaire or the billionaire you want to be. When you think about people who started small, like Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Oprah, Warren Buffett, whoever your favorite, Mark Cuban, what's the guy's name who's the shark? Damon John.
Yeah.
I said I was gonna get better at naming women. I always stop at Oprah because I'm from Chicago. But all the people who started off successful, their success was not just in their community. The first thing they did was like strap on their boots and started looking for different investors, different buyers that weren't in their network. Because by the time you reach the place where you're ready to sell, by the time you reach the place where you're ready to go public with whatever you're offering, you've already exceeded the limits of where you are, because you're saying, here's where I am. I've identified where I want to be. And that means that you have to leave where you are. That includes the environment that you're in. and the people you're around. So if your mindset is that you don't have support from the people who love you, good. You shouldn't have your support. Right now, I have a class that I'm teaching about how to start an Airbnb. I've made 10 sales into my class, 0. That's how many people who are like in my networks, like my close friends, my family, 0. None of them have purchased it. But I didn't expect for any of them to purchase it because my mindset is if they wanted to know, A, they would ask me. B, they probably want a discount. Or C, they wouldn't want to pay me, right? But I do want to have some sort of income in this environment so I understand that the people who I'm working with and I'm going to make the most impact on are not in my circle, right? So like I think those are the 2 first steps. I don't know, Maria, if you had anything you wanted to share about like mindset and like making money.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, yeah, Ralph was saying Gary V. I think that like with making money, I do think mindset is a very bare bones. I think a lot of people are afraid to ask for the sale. And I think that's where there's a lot of disconnect. And I think it goes back to you, number one, knowing that the product or service that you have is of value. So, you come up with it. I think a lot of times what we do is we sit there and try to negotiate with ourselves and then try to negotiate with our clients. I know I did that early on. I would try to say something like, well, it's this price, but, if you can't pay then I'm willing to, And I think what ends up happening is we think, excuse me, we think we're doing them a favor, but we literally are teaching people how to treat us. And I have found, sadly, that the people that you end up giving the deals to, giving the breaks to financially are the ones that are least likely to even go through on their end of the bargain. They have to have skin in the game. There has to be value inputted on both sides for them to really take it seriously. And I think that was kind of the hardest lesson for me. And it goes back to mindset. It really does. Of just knowing what you have is so valuable. Knowing the knowledge that you have, the service that you have, the product that you have is so valuable that you're doing them a disservice if you're not willing to offer the sell to them. And I think that goes back to really kind of getting within your own head and telling yourself that, what you have is completely worth X amount of dollars that you've decided that you need to charge. And we kind of talked about that last episode on how to, kind of price your product and service. I'm not going to get too into that right now. But, today we do want to talk about just briefly, get your mindset straight so you're ready to ask for the sale. Know, where your pricing structure is determined by, whatever your cost is and all that, like we talked about last week, and then stick with it. The times that you decide to cut your price down, that you need to ask yourself, number one, why are you cutting your price down? Are you getting something in return? Is it like some type of barter deal where they have something you need? Those type of situations, I think it could be okay. If you're just doing it a lot of times out of pity or, just because you don't think your mindset doesn't have it to where you think it's valuable enough, I can promise you from experience, those are the ones that are going to bite you. And so I think that, that right there, just wrapping your mindset around that, what you have is so valuable. I mean, you literally have to tell yourself, this is so valuable that, if I don't offer this to you, then I'm a horrible person, because I know I have something that you need that's going to change your life, and I don't sell it to you, then I'm a horrible person, because this is my job. This is my passion. This is my calling. And that takes a while. You might have to stand in the mirror and pep talk yourself for a while, but it takes a while to get to that point. But I think it's very important to do that. And I think this kind of changes subjects a little bit, but it keeps popping in my head, so I'm going to say it. I think a lot of times, another thing that a lot of people make the mistake on is actually 2. There's 2. They either only focus on, one thing to the point, even when it's not selling, the market's wrong, the time's wrong, whatever. And they've only got this one service, this one product. And they're like, no, this is it. And they keep just losing money hand over fist. And it may be a great product, but it may not be the right time, might not be the right, setting, something might be off, but they're so stuck on it. I've watched people chase that same thing for like 5 years and lose money hand over fist on it, instead of letting it sit there, pivoting to something else for a while, and then focusing back. Sometimes that break, during that break, the time can change, the marketing can change. You can learn something new that you could put into use with this over here. That's one thing. Another thing is I watch This was more me. On the other side, it's like you have all the ideas, right? You have all the ideas, and you're just like cooking them all. So I like that saying where they say micromanaging is just doing a lot of things shitty at the same time. I'm sorry if cussing offends you, but that's the statement. I didn't quote it. I'm just repeating it.
Right.
And I was like, that hit me because I was like, ooh, because I used to even put on my resumes. That's how proud I was. I was like, I can not micromanaging, but multitask, not micromanaging, multitask. I used to put on my resume, I'm great at multitasking. So really, with that definition, that just means I can do a lot of things shitty at the same time. Nobody wants that. You want to do one thing great and then pivot and move. And I think at the beginning for me, that was the hardest thing is I knew for me with my personality and just how I like to work, one thing gets boring. I don't want to do one thing for the rest of my life every day. I can't do it. It's not my thing. That's great if that's what people like to do. That's wonderful. But where I made the mistake when I was making money at the very beginning was you need to hyper focus on it long enough till it's a good working machine. And then at that point, you bring people in to manage each of the aspects so it keeps working as a machine. And then you can have the time to pivot away and start to do something else. But that needs to be kind of a transition. And I lost some money early on by trying to keep too many balls in the air at the same time. And I've learned the hard way that, yes, you can have multiple streams of income, but there has to be a designated plan on how things roll out and launch out. That way, the machine that you just spent 2 years, 3 years building doesn't crash and burn as you kind of launch this one up in the air. So I know that's like a very long answer to what you said, but I think it all kind of goes together to say, when you come up with what you're wanting to do, product, service, whatever, you have to know what it is. You have to know what your pricing is going to be. You have to know how valuable it is. That goes back to the mindset. And then you have to figure out a plan. What does this look like? Is it something I want to do every day for the rest of my life? Is it something that I want to transition myself out of it, at least for the most part, to be able to do a next project? You really need to kind of think long term on those things because, again, like I mentioned early on, I'm a fan of multiple streams of income. That's hard to do if it's only you.
True. And it's not only is it hard to do, it's hard to sustain. So I think that having a team is really important for you if you want to make money, right? And so in the beginning, how can I frame this? So it's expensive to make money, period. You need a website, you need a domain, and they don't sell them to you outright. They want you to pay. You basically lease them every year, right? Like you have to pay to renew and all other stuff. So your first year is really just you understanding the cost of your business. Even if you make a lot of money your first year, you spend a lot of money on things that just fall through the cracks. So, for example, you need sales, right? So maybe you want to hire someone with lead generation. You hire a virtual assistant, you have to pay that person. You hire a web developer, you have to pay that person. If you have a physical product business, you have to pay for those physical products, or you drop ship them, or however you're able to get your product to your customer. In order to make money, you have to understand how much it costs to make that money. So right now, my team I have a coach. She's $1,000 a month. I have a VA that I pay I don't know, it ends up being like $400 a month. And that's just those two people, right? That's not including for all of my technology stuff. I probably spend about, let's just call it $300 a month. So my operating cost month to month is $1,700 for just one of my streams of income. Just one, $1,700. So that's expensive. And I'm not new to my business, but it's just one piece of my business that cost me $1,700. The rent on my Airbnb and with all utilities and all my other bills, it's expensive. Every month, I need to clear a significant amount to keep my head above water, right? And so when you talk about making money, I think that a lot of times people price things, not the right way. And we talked about price last week, so we won't talk about it again. But when you're thinking about, your business and making money, understand how much it costs to make what you want to make so that you can understand, is this what I'm willing to invest? Or maybe I need to rethink my business model because this is not how much I want to make. This is not going to sustain itself. And I think Maria mentioned that people will just continue to push a product and it doesn't turn a profit. I think that you should be flexible. Maybe you offer something and it's too much. Like you're offering too much for the price point. So people don't understand, why would I pay you, $100 for what somebody else is charging $3,000 for? And you figure if you get in low or lower, you're more marketable. That's just not the case. You have to understand that, like, competitive pricing. So when you're thinking about making money, doing market research. I ask my clients all the time, who is your competitor? Who is the one person who's one step above you? Who's one step above them? And then, like, who's the cream of the crop? Like, who is the leader in your industry? And then what are those folks offering? Because if you're just getting started, then you need to be clear that, if you're a web developer and everybody includes, I don't know, 3 web pages, you need to go in. Maybe you offer 4, but you need to at least offer 3, because that's going to be the market standard. And if you can't meet the basic market standard, it's going to be very hard for you to make money, because they can't understand why you're only offering 2, but the big boys offer 3. And if you're offering 4, they'll say, okay, well, that's not bad. But over delivering, there's a thin line. You said you just discovered your product is right. You were just selling it to the wrong people. Okay, Ralph. I was going to get to that too. So we'll stop there with what I was saying. But for example, like selling your product to the wrong people. I use this example all the time. If you're somebody who does lawn care, maybe consider also doing snow removal. Right? So then you have a built-in clientele to market to. And more importantly, you can sell to them all year long, and you understand their ability to pay. If you do a good job in Maria's yard, and I'm Maria's neighbor, I'm much more likely going to buy your services because I know you're reliable, dependable, and trustworthy, versus if you're a stranger. But then in the same vein, I had a snow removal guy in my area, in my old house, and he was having a difficult time, and he wouldn't start marketing. He would market to people all summer, which I think is fine. But then I was like, usually if there's a blizzard coming, they start talking about the blizzard like 3 or 4 days before that, maybe 5 days before that. You should have postcards stamped and ready to go and dropping them off at the post office so that it's hitting people's mailbox the day before, maybe even the day of, about snow removal. Those folks are going to call you because they need their snow removed. So you're getting right into the mailboxes, and maybe they don't call you that time, but they'll call you the next time, right? But you probably shouldn't be sending snow removal postcards to people in Florida. You probably shouldn't start your snow removal business in Miami. Do I think the snow removal business is good, it's profitable, it can make a lot of money? Yes, but I probably wouldn't suggest you do it down there. On the flip side, if you're in the heart of Chicago, you could probably do okay with a pool cleaning service, but maybe LA, Miami, Phoenix, those are better markets for what you have to offer, because you can probably make money all year round, versus in Chicago, if people have a pool, you might make money a few months out the year. Not a bad business model, but if you're looking to make the most money, you probably want to go where people are using their pool a significant amount, right? I think it's understanding more so, like, is it the product that's the issue? Is it your audience that's the issue? Or is it both? Because sometimes you offer things that people don't want. And I think that's a hard lesson to learn. I remember I was offering, for years, I was trying to sign people up to take this fundraising course that I really believed in. It was action-packed. It was 3 days. And it was just like, I thought the best thing ever. And I pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. I had 0 sales. 0 sales. And I invested a lot of money in doing like the graphics for it. I really believed strongly in it. Nobody, I think that website had like 2 site visits. And I think both of those were me logging in. Because I just want to see, what does that say? My true clients have many gatekeepers. Really tough to get them. It's because they are over marketed. What do you do, Ralph? What does he do? Do you know?
Yeah, he is in like the for some reason the word just escaped me. In trucking, how they Ralph message. I don't know why it just escaped my head. It's a brokery. like brokering, like for like shipping, trucking, brokering, logistics. Thank you, Ralph. The word was gone from my brain.
Logistics. So you're in trucking logistics, like specifically what in the truck? Like, are you?
It's a highly competitive industry, like by the minute.
Okay.
Like they're literally calling and all day long, like making it is a hard industry. Now, I know I've talked with Ralph a couple of times on some stuff, but they are over marketed. Yeah, like you said, they're majorly over marketed. But I think sometimes with that kind of stuff, it's hard to reinvent the wheel and get your foot in through the door on those highly saturated industries. And I think there's a lot of people that try to get into those highly saturated industries because there's a lot of dollars to be made, but there's also, it's so hard to get your foot through the door on those things. You spend, unless you have the capital to play the long game, you end up crashing and burning pretty fast on that kind of stuff. I'll give you a good example. It's a high level example, but there's a client that I had that was in a highly competitive area for like pressure washing type of a thing. And, I had to explain to him multiple times because a lot of people think you put Google ads up and that you can get all this traction, and you can, but the way that it works, you can. It takes a lot of dollars, and it depends on the industry. I almost always, I guess about half the time, I tell people it's not worth Google ads for you. If not more than half the time, because for most people, it's not. Unless you have lots of dollars to be super competitive on the bidding, because it's a bidding war. And if you're in a highly competitive area and it's a highly competitive market where there's, lots and lots of people, your bid price is going to be higher. So you may be throwing $500, $1,000 at it a month thinking you're paying all this money, but it's just like a drop in the bucket of what if some of these big companies are throwing at it when they're throwing, 20,000, 50,000. And, that's what I try to tell people. Google will still take your money. They're going to be like, yeah, you will put some ads out there for you. But the way that it shows up is going to be like on a bid. So, if you've got somebody that's paying $50,000 a month that's in the same industry and you're paying $500 a month, theirs is going to show up a lot more often. You're just throwing money to the wind. And I think that's hard for a lot of people to understand because they just think, okay, well, they almost look at it like an ATM machine. I'm sinking this much money into it, and I'm just going to stand there and wait, for something to come back. And it's hard for a lot of people. Most of my job in my marketing world is telling people, no, you don't want to do that. Here's why. No, you don't want to do that. Here's why. Like, honestly. So it's the same thing, Ralph, with what you're talking about. It's a lot of the things that, we've been talking on the show probably wouldn't be an easy fix for you to make money in logistics. Because it's such a competitive market. It doesn't mean you can't make money in it. It just means it's going to be a little bit harder. And that's the reason that when I was talking about multiple streams of income, this is a perfect example. If logistics is where your heart is, it's where your mindset is, and you're ready to go at it, and you just, every time when you wake up, you're thinking about logistics. When you go to sleep, you're thinking about logistics. It's your thing. That's fine. I'm not saying don't let it be your thing, but obviously everybody has to have money to play that long game. And it is definitely a long game. Logistics is not going to be a short game. So that's where multiple streams of income is going to be like huge for you, because you can do other things to finance your dream, right? It's because you're playing the long game. And if that's really what you want to do, that's what you got your heart set on. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying you have to look at what you're doing today. What are you doing today to make money? What are some other things that you can do to pull in the dollars to keep feeding into your dream? Because there's some things that you can literally do quickly with very little capital. Actually, there's some things I've done with no capital. $0, started it with $0. $0, no money, started it. And every time I'd make dollars doing that, I'd put it right back into the business. And I am very big at taking the money and putting it back into the business for a while. So when I do that, it means I have to have something over here because I still need gas, I still need to pay bills, you have to do things. So you have to kind of look at your own life, your own lifestyle, your financial situation, and figure out what works for you. But I always have something that I'm bringing in dollars to pay my bills while I'm cooking something new, because even when I get it cooking, all the money gets put right back into it. I'm not taking, owner payouts. I'm not getting paid a salary. I think a lot of business owners, end up taking too much at the beginning, and then they don't have that long game. So you have to make sure that you're paying yourself. I'm not saying don't, but you have to put it into, your plan and figure out, what works best for you. And in this type of a situation, logistics is definitely a long play game. He's got a lot of stuff he's writing here. I don't know if you read it all, but shippers need tricks to move products. They choose to broker that out. I show them how to do it for themselves and cut out the broker. So yeah, he was just explaining what he does. So it's, yeah. And he said that he's attracted in integrating the culture into his product. And I think that's it. I think it's like Chanel said, coming up with mindset, your own mindset on things and what you have to offer. And Ralph, if you know what you have to offer to the logistics world is something you want to keep, fighting for and chasing, that's great. But what are you going to do today to be able to make money? What are you going to do right now until that, that logistics dream pays off one day? What are some things that you can do today? And, in my opinion, there's lots of things. The very basic definition of a business is something that you have or do that people will pay money for. It's literally it. Like I think sometimes we try to overcomplicate all this, but that's literally it. It's like I've seen people that make money by drawing little pictures. My 4-year-old draws pictures. She doesn't market it. She doesn't sell them. She probably could because she's cute and people will buy stuff from cute 4-year-olds. But, the point is if it doesn't matter what you do, if somebody finds value in it, they see value in it, and they're willing to pay money for it, that's a stream of income. You just need to figure out, okay, well, is it just your mom? Is it just your mom that's want to buy it from you, like Chanel said earlier? Or is there multiple people? And, that's one of the things I've had people come to me early on and say, I need to make some extra money. I want to get out of this 9 to 5. I want to, do that, this, that, or the other. And I say, well, what kind of skills do you have? What do you do? Well, I don't do nothing. But then you find out later, months down the road, as they're saying something to me on the phone, like, yeah, I've got to make these pies every year around Thanksgiving. People are calling me, I have to make 30 pies. And I'm like, why was that not filled out in your questionnaire on a skill? Well, it's just pies. But you're making them every Thanksgiving. People are calling you and begging you to do it.
Right.
And you're doing it and you're selling them. But somehow that doesn't go into the business plan. But it's because it's so outside of what a lot of people think business is that they don't even add it in. Because and that's the thing with this specific person. I said, do you like baking pies? Oh, I love baking. I do. But it's not like a real business. I'm like, but it is. Look at Marie Calendar. Look at it. Right. You know what I mean? We don't think about it to that level. And, maybe she doesn't want to bake pies, 12 hours a day, every day for the rest of her life. That's fine. Maybe she wants it to be kind of a side hustle. That's great. That's a multiple stream of income. Even if you don't need the money, but you love to do it, part-time, half-time, some of the time, you could take those dollars and you put it into an account somewhere and you save that for what you're wanting to do.
Right.
I think that's huge.
Yeah. You have to fuel the passion. I say all this all the time. The most expensive thing you'll ever do is, have a passion. Because if you're just trying to make money, you make really smart, non-emotional decisions. You're aggressively growing and you really just develop an acumen for success versus when it's your passion, it's completely different. I use this example. Say you're buying a house and you're buying like a house and people say their dream home. I don't have a dream home. I have like 100 dream homes. As a matter of fact, I post homes all the time. And every time I find a new one, the old one becomes the old dream, right? I don't really have an emotional attachment to houses the way other people do. I have I want it to be beautiful, but can I get a return on my investment? And the way I think of it is just very different. Versus if you were trying to buy a rental property, you'd say, oh, is it by public transportation, the size, what kind of person would I attract when they live there? Is this the kind of person I want to do business with? Do I want to do business with single people, married people? And you'd have this whole entire list of demographics that you would play off of. And that part of your brain, the part of your brain that is just business oriented, that's the part where you make money from. I think a lot of people, I want to follow my passion. I want to, if you are someone who wants to bake, it's very expensive to bake. Like if you sell a cake for $30, when you think about it, you have to make a lot of cakes to turn a profit. And that's including like manpower hours. And so instead of you quitting your job to bake cakes or make pies, keep your job, sell them on the side. Like she said, save that money so that you can get a bakery. Because Food is expensive, very, very, very expensive. And you cannot control the cost of food. Eggs may be $3 today, $1.79 tomorrow, $5 on Friday, right? Like week to week, it changes, and you cannot control that cost. If we have a dry summer, please bet that produce is going to be expensive all fall and winter, right? And so you can't really plan for weather, so to speak. But what you can do is get a job or get something to help you pay for it. Or maybe, like Maria said, you're just good at birthday cakes, and so people pay you for it, but you really love to own a beauty salon one day. Well, then sell cakes to make money to pay for your passion. Passion is very, very expensive. And I always tell people, maybe not your passion, but what are you good at? What can you do really well that you wouldn't mind being paid for? And usually people will say, well, maybe I like to do hair. I have a cosmetology license. I don't do it very much anymore, but I kept my license. Or I have an insurance license. I don't love it, but I can do it. And it's like, okay. I think we've gotten into this culture where people think that the only thing you should ever do is follow your dream, follow your passion. And 1000% you deserve to live your dream life. But the caveat is it's expensive. And until you can afford it, you do have to do things. Like right now, I'm a new Airbnb host coach. So my course is $555. I haven't sold anything for $500. Oh my God, in like a decade, maybe a little bit more. The thousands of dollars is how much I charge to work with me, multiple thousands. But because I'm new in this industry and I understand I have to prove myself and I need like those validators, I'm offering it at a very different discount than I ever have before. And even the way people pay me. So a lot of you guys have products and it's like, you can only pay me $10,000, $20,000 upfront, no payment plans. I have a payment plan where people can pay me, for 3 months. One of the payment plans, they can pay me for 4 months. So even though, you go into it wanting all your money up front, that residual income, that subscriber income, it comes in handy. Like,
Absolutely.
I've gotten paid every day for the last 5 days. And that may not seem significant to anybody who's listening, but it's nice to be able to say I've gotten paid. I think it's 5 days. Today's Tuesday. Yeah, I've been getting paid every day. But from something different, right?
Yeah. Well, and I like that you mentioned just kind of that every day, because I think that's a mistake a lot of people make. And I guess I wouldn't say a mistake. It's a mistake that it would be a mistake for my businesses because I know my target, I know what I like, I know what I want to do. But, a lot of people think that, those high dollar tickets and just that flat fee, the one-time fee is where it's at. But to me, that is more risky. I love that you said that you've been paid every day and it was smaller increments, but it's every day. To me, I'd rather have $500 a day than I would have one giant contract, because with one giant contract, you literally have all your eggs in one basket. To me, that is just like risky. Right. And maybe it's just my trust issues, but to me, that is so risky because at that point in time, if you're making $500 on a client a day or whatever it is, and you lose one client, but you have others. So let's say hypothetically you have 30 clients that are each paying $100 or $500 a day, and you lose one, you've lost $500. But, if you have one client that pays you, $50,000 in a year, but you lose one client, you've lost $50,000. To me, it's like, it's just more of a risk, because there's going to be a time where they possibly don't need you anymore. And then you start all over from scratch to make X amount of dollars that you've determined you need to be able to run your business, your life, your employees, all the things. To me, it makes more sense to have more eggs in the basket, because then as one hatches, you can put another one in there, or whatever the case may be, than it is to have one giant load that then those are harder to get, they're harder to maintain, and they're more painful if they're gone. So that's always been my thing. And I know I hear a lot of coaches, I'm not saying they're wrong, whatever works for them works for them. But to me, it would be a whole lot harder for me to make up a large client monthly payment than it would be, 10 smaller ones.
Yeah. And you should have both, right? Like, I think we're not saying don't have one giant income, but like, are there ways you can break down your pricing? Like I talked to a friend yesterday and she was telling me like she has this high ticket. It's like $35,000 that she offers, but then she's now trying to get into the internet space. And so she's charging like $197 for some product. And I was like, that's such a huge gap. And I was like, you're giving away so much. You should just give away one thing. For example, so the example I gave her was, well, you're really good at helping people create automations on Instagram. So like those chat bots and like how like the click flow, right? So when you go from someone's page, you click on it, they tag the picture of the outfit, but then they can check out on Instagram or they can go to your website. That's entirely up to you. And so I was like, you can tell people how to switch between paying on Facebook versus paying on your boutique website. And I was like, you should just say, how to set up your Instagram boutique. And you can go online and literally on your Instagram page, create a boutique and show them how to do it. And you can sell that step-by-step process, because you can say, right here, you click this is why. Or here you click this is why. And you walk them through that process. And so now you have it so that if they want to do it themselves, they can. You can also charge people to do it for them, right? So now this is one skill that now you have two different products for. You show them, you'll do it for them, and they can choose maybe you can set up their automations like their chat bot and, add their email and stuff like that to make sure it flows correctly. You create their link in their bio, whatever, right? You can set up Instagram business pages. That's the second thing you can do, right? So this one skill, you now have three different ways to make money on one skill, and nothing's changing. You're not learning anything more. It's not going to take you any more time. You just went a la carte. And you can also, instead of being a la carte, you can create a bundle that says you can buy this for $47, $197, and $97, right? Or you can bundle them together and I'll charge you $200. And so they'll probably pay you $200 to do it all. And now you offered them one thing for a lower amount, but now you can do all three. And it's the same amount of time that it's going to take you to do it, right? And so like that's how you can start to figure out how to make more money in your business. And then sometimes, because maybe you are new to an industry, you don't have a strong reputation, you don't have client testimonials, you can only speak from your experience, you should be promoting what you've done really well, especially if it's from your job. If you have any like accolades, let's say you work for, Best Buy, and you were like the chief trainer for Geek Squad or something, and for 3 years in a row, you received like trainer of the year. You should promote that, because then if you're trying to teach people how to fix things, you can say, not only do I have the certification from Apple, HP, or whoever, I also have these high accolades from Best Buy, because people go to Best Buy to get their computer fixed all the time, right? So if you're trying to branch out for yourself, you should lead with what you've done well already. And so now not only do you have credibility, you have not one way for people to work with you, you have 4 ways for people to work with you. So you can still do your high ticket, but what little nuggets can people buy from you that you can just promote all the time on your social media or via email that people can just buy? So you can make money in your sleep, because the name of the game when you're doing an online business is how many different ways can I make money doing the exact same thing? So if you have an Instagram skill, how many different ways can you teach people how to make money on Instagram? Can you teach reels? Can you teach transitions for stories? Can you teach how to use hashtags? Can you teach making the right poses, using the right filters, the right captions? If you're an Instagram guru, I'm not saying splinter it all down into 10 different things, but certainly if you could teach about how to make money on posts, people will buy that. If you could teach how to make money in a story, people will buy that. If you want to teach how to make money on reels, people will purchase that. So now you have the exact same skill and 3 different ways to make money. Like, that is how you make money. You typically, over time, you may start to make money on one specific product. So you only ever offer social media expertise, social media management, and you charge a premium. But before you get there, and even after you're there, you should consider, how can I automatically just make money in my sleep? Right? Like, that's something to consider.
Absolutely. No, I think that that's really good advice. And I know we were like, I don't know if we'll have enough to go over on this subject. And I just now looked at the clock and it's 1:53. So see, money, honey. Sure, money. Yeah. All day long. No, and I think Ralph put on here quality over quantity, and I think that's huge. I mean, I do, and I think that I like that you mentioned that we're not saying don't have a large income. A large income is great.
Yeah.
A big income, if you have that. But again, I do think it's important because I know lots of people have made, great money, but done nothing else. And when they've lost their job, they started all over. And so I think that's why it's huge to have those multiple streams of income. Even though I work for myself, I like having multiple streams of income because if the market dips over here and I've already got some stuff cooking, simmering over here that I only do here and there, but it's already kind of a working machine, I can pivot my time and attention over to that side of things and kind of rev it up. And I know, Chanel, you've told your story numerous times on the show just about how you did that very thing, how you were able to, dip into your coaching. And then you got into a whole new project that I'm sure at least part of that dollars from that came from you getting into coaching. So, I mean, I think a lot of people can probably learn a lot from just your story on how you did that very thing.
Oh, yeah. I do talk about like pivoting and how, I consulted for a long time. I didn't love coaching. So the difference between coaching and consultants is that consultants typically do it for you. So I would create systems that you could then use in your business. I would create campaign plans that you could turn into winning campaign plans. I was a consultant for a very long time. I got into coaching because I realized that teaching people how to do things.
I think she froze. Are you there, Chanel? I don't know. I think she'll be back. But yeah, I think she was talking about teaching people within coaching is a huge part of that. And I don't know where she's at, but all right. So I'm sure she doesn't want to be left up here frozen, so I'm going to remove her. But we're toward the end of our show anyway. So I am going to go ahead and say goodbye. We will be back on next Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern time for another episode. If you have any questions about making money, I've had some technical difficulties today too. You've probably seen me typing a little bit here and there. I'm trying to fix some of the stuff. But if you have any questions about anything that was discussed today, I do have, and I'm sure Chanel does too, just stories after stories, and I'm sure Angela has all of the documents and stuff that shows different ways to do stuff. But all in all, if you're thinking about creating new multiple streams of income, sit and write down, what your passions are. What are some things that people pay you to do now or ask you to do now? What are some ways that you can make even a few dollars? There's Chanel, she's back. Hi. What are some ways that you can make? She's back. Yeah.
Sorry.
So, no, you're good. We were going to end anyway. But I was just wrapping up, telling them that, one thing that they can do if they're trying to figure out how to make some multiple streams of income, because, maybe they're sitting there right now and they own a business, but it's just one business. They do one thing, or maybe they're working the 9 to 5. They're like, I want, multiple streams of income. I want to make some more money. I think, and you can give your advice too, but I think the easiest way to start is kind of write down what are some things you love, what are your passions, and, what are some things that people have paid you for or maybe would pay you for, and ideally, they should match. You should be able to count. You ever do that where you'd write the words over here and then you see the words over here, like in preschool, and you connect? Yeah. Ideally, if you have some connectors, those are definitely places you want to start. If your passion can combine with something that people would pay or have paid you money for, that's gold.
Yeah, like I have a friend who's a photographer, and so she makes her money in photography, but she makes so much more money on social media teaching people how to take photos. And so she does these like master classes like every other day for 1 hour, and she makes a killing because she shows people how to make amazing, this beautiful settings and how to do like great pictures, right? Like that's how she uses her expertise. So she does have a photography studio. She does do event photography, but she also makes a killing online showing people how to do what she does. And I think that, I shy away from telling people to follow their passion, more about what can you teach people? Can you teach people how to cook? A lot of people make a lot of money online showing people how to cook the same stuff. I promise you, I've seen people teach how to cook fried chicken 100 ways. I've seen fettuccine Alfredo more times than I ever want to see in my life, right? But people make I need to stop saying killing. People make a lot of money doing everyday things. So are you a good cook? Are you like the mom? Like people always come to for advice. I would just get online and start talking to people about like situations and like how you would overcome them. And eventually you'll start to be the sage, and you'll find that maybe moms really want to talk to you, or maybe daughters want to talk to you about situations that happen with their mom to understand the relationship. I could do this all day. Like, what could you teach somebody? So take passion off the table, because if you're stuck, you have no passion, you're desperate. It's hard to be passionate and desperate at the same time. Desperation takes out of a lot of energy. Been there. What can you teach people? Period.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. I feel like we could go on for another hour, but we're not going to, because it's end of time.
Yeah.
So like I was mentioning, I can teach all. So Ralph, I didn't get a chance to read all these, but he said I could teach you how to save millions of dollars on shipping. Great. See, that's definitely one way that you can write down of something to be able to monetize and turn into dollars. But like I mentioned earlier, what was it?
I was gonna say, maybe you could teach people who have physical product businesses how to save money on shipping. So maybe you're going to big logistics companies. What about starting small, local boutiques who want to be online? Show them how to do how they can save money on shipping. Restaurants that maybe want to expand and start offering their popcorn, pizza, I don't know, barbecue sauce. You should start seeking out like maybe different, more creative ways. If you're having a hard time getting into that market, because you can build credibility faster working with smaller businesses that don't know anything about shipping and want to expand and need to expand. That could be a great way to get your message out there faster.
Absolutely. Great advice. We will be back again next Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern for another episode. If you have any questions about this, you're more than welcome to reach out at Chanel Rose, the Money Honey. You can also look me up, Maria Daniels. I'm not the Money Honey. I need a nickname. I feel left out.
You could be the Money Honey too.
I don't. That's weird. Then they're going to get confused. They'll be like, "Who's the Money Honey?"
That's just we look so much alike.
We do. We're like twinning. So we will be back again next week. But I really appreciate, Chanel, you being on here. Angela, we missed you.
Yeah.
And I believe that we have a guest coming on next week. I'm not going to throw it out there yet, but I think we have a guest coming on next week. So I guess you just have to come back next week and find out if we do or not, because I'm not going to mention it. So, but I'll see you next week. Thanks a lot. Bye, guys.
Bye.